بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Inshallah tabaraka wa ta'ala, we pray that all of you are having a blessed morning, that you woke up in a state of gentleness and well-being. And may Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala give you the best of this day, inwardly and outwardly. I know it's been some time since we've been on in the morning. May Allah facilitate for us soon to return to our regularly scheduled lessons and scattered thoughts and all those things that we do. What is this? Something different. So today, inshallah, I just had some brief thoughts I wanted to share with you. It's an interesting conversation I had, and it gave me these thoughts. And I want to explain because it's connected to a lot of things, and it may be a lengthy discussion, honestly. But to summarize, I don't know if y'all all see the title up there. Can I copy that? Yes. The title of this scattered thought, no, that's not it. 1 second. Is very important for us to understand. So that is, not following a madhab is a madhab. Can y'all copy that and put that up? This is the way you teach too. You help, you share, we benefit. So when I ask you to copy and paste, I'm engaging you to have your portion as well. So can we copy that? Not following a madhab is a madhab. And I think if we understood this, it will help us in our learning process. It would help us. So tomorrow night, let me do a shameless plug. We're going to have the history of Islam in the among African Americans in Atlantic City. Is that the title? Similar to that. So those who are in the Atlantic City area, it will be a great opportunity for you to learn some beneficial things about the African American community in Atlantic City. So no, the title is the legacy of, what's that? Black and African American Muslims of Atlantic City. So this is tomorrow night, starting at 5:45 at Stockton University, the Atlantic City campus. So this tomorrow, starting at 5:45 at Stockton University, the Atlantic City campus. It's right down the street from the masjid, the actual campus. So if you just go to Masjid Muhammad, if you was the lost, and just walk down the street, the campus is towards the boardwalk, right before you get to the boardwalk. But it's going to be an interesting gathering. And yesterday I was talking to the organizers, and I was trying to explain to them, like every people, African American Muslims have gone through, are going through, and will continue to go through development. This is very important. That people learn Islam in stages. And there is development in people's understanding. It's a natural process. And everyone should realize, wherever you're at in your Islamic learning or practice, it's a stage that, if you continue to strive, will develop. And what you know today will be considered little if you continue to strive to what you will know tomorrow. The way you understand things today will not be the same that way you will understand tomorrow, as you gain more knowledge, more understanding, and more sincerity. Put those three: more knowledge, more understanding, and more sincerity. And sincerity is a big part of development. Huge, right? So in this process, you're going to discover quite often what I understood today was based on the limited amount of access I had to Islamic knowledge. Based on that limited access to Islamic knowledge, that's why I think the way I think, or believe the way I believe, or practice the way I practice. More access will naturally, if I am sincere, develop into a progressive change, right? It's very important to understand this. And why is it so important? So you don't remain stuck. So you don't remain stuck, right? If you don't have these aspects in your learning and practicing process, you're going to find yourself unable to grow and develop. And even when you know you're mistaken, you'll state it because of a lack of sincerity. What is sincerity? That you do all your acts of obedience for the sake of Allah alone. And really, sincerity is to go where Allah takes you, because He is the real doer. So wherever Allah guides you, you go. And that process, you understand, is under the guidance of Allah, and everything comes for you at a time for a wisdom, and that's how it is, right? So I wanted to set that point up. So this is something we think about. Going back to the title, so oftentimes people come with their idea, and I get it a lot. I get it a lot because we're out front on these platforms. So you speak and people hear you. So you're going to get some pushback. That's natural, right? So just to make sure to facilitate the ease of people pushing back, the methodology of Masjid Muhammad in Atlantic City, the methodology of the 3453 platform in Aqidah is what? I want y'all to engage me because there's always a chance to review. I want this stuff to become like just second nature. That's why I keep repeating it. I want it to just be second nature, like boom, just like you wake up and breathe. That's how I want you to know the methodology that we teach. So what is our methodology on this 3453 platform, Masjid Muhammad? Right. So Ash'ari is our direct creed, but Ash'ari and Maturidi, that's in Aqidah. Can everyone put that up? We are Ash'ari and Maturidi. Don't be shy. It's a wisdom why I'm saying this. Why I keep telling you to put it up, put it up, put it up, is a wisdom. It's a reason why I'm doing it. If you trust me, inshallah, just aid and assist me in this issue. It's very important. Right? Tayyib. So that's in Aqidah. We are Ash'ari and Maturidi. And now let me explain that. Ash'ari and Maturidi in the foundations of the creed are the same. Where there is a difference between those two schools is in the details of explanation and expression, not in the foundational core aspects of belief. So to the point that when you say Ash'ari or Maturidi, the other school is already known, right? Stick there. Now, I always want you to get this point. We repeat it, but some people still don't get it. So we repeat it again. When we say we are Ash'ari and Maturidi, that's not saying that if someone's not Ash'ari or Maturidi, they're not Muslim. That's not what it means, right? That's not what it means at all. What it means that this is the established creed of the majority of Sunni Muslims, past and present. The majority, the vast majority of Sunni Muslims have been Ash'ari or Maturidi, to the point when you say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, in classical Islamic circles, in classical Islamic literature, it's known that these are the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. And then if you want to add, to make clear, without have to name every single development, you say, and whoever agrees with them in the foundations of the creed. So everyone is included. Who agree with them in the foundations of the creed, then everyone is understood. Is this clear? This point clear? So we don't need to make a big issue about something that's well known. Is this point clear? Because some of us are easily bullied. And I use that word specifically because that's what it is. Some of us are easily bullied. And that is usually because we don't understand ourselves, so someone could push us around. There's no need for that, right? No need. So that's in creed. So these are two madhabs. So when somebody comes and says, I'm not Ash'ari or I'm not Maturidi, I don't follow no madhab, that in itself means that you have an understanding of the creed, especially in the foundations of the creed that differ from the Ash'ari and Maturidiyya. Then that means you have your own system, your own systemized structure of clarifying the Islamic beliefs. And if that's the case, whether we agree with it or not, that is a madhab. Do y'all understand that? So the person says, I'm not Ash'ari, I'm not Maturidi, for instance. I differ from them, because that's what you're saying. I differ from them in the creed. Then the Ash'ari school and the Maturidi school is a structured, systematic way, methodology of explaining the creed of Islam and its foundational principles. That's what that is. That was formulated, clarified by great imams from the time of Imam al-Ash'ari in the 4th century and Imam al-Maturidi in the 4th century, and every succeeding generation for the past 1,200 years all around the Islamic world that made up that school. That means you have the equivalent. Or that's what's implied. Do you understand that? So when the one says, I don't follow that, that means you have something that opposes that, that contradicts that, that is just as valid as that, just as scholarly as that, just as well thought out as that. That means then your madhab should be followed. Do y'all understand this just point? That's the claim, even if it's not explicitly mentioned. Maybe the one who's saying that doesn't even realize that's what they're saying. But that is the final outcome of such a claim. Do y'all understand that? Is this point clear? It's very important that you understand this. Right? So when they make such a statement, you would have to actually do some comparison. Let's look at the way those two schools were formulated, established, conveyed, transmitted to our time. We're going to look at that. Historically and globally, we're going to look at that. Then we'll take another look at your creed that contradicts it. And let's see how that was formulated, established, conveyed, and transmitted from wherever you got it from, or if you made it up yourself. Because the madhab is following a methodology of understanding. We're talking about in the creed specifically, the creed in a methodology that was transmitted for generations by the leading scholars of all the Islamic sciences, all the way back to Imam al-Ash'ari. Remember, the Ash'ari madhab and the Maturidi madhab has been conveyed and worked on and supported with evidences and proofs and discussions for 1,200 years. I want you to write that down. The Ash'ari and Maturidi schools have been formulated, transmitted, clarified, expounded upon, checked, verified for 1,200 years by the leading scholars of Islam in every century, in every place, in every Islamic science. Do y'all realize what we're talking about here? That's a fact. No one can deny that by way of historical research. That's a fact. Now, the question becomes, when someone says don't follow that, they should match its equivalent, right? They should match its equivalent. So that's a systematic structure. It has its principles, it has its scholars, it has its books, it has its history. All of that exists. Now, the alternative, what is it? What is it? Now, let's be realistic here. We're going to put everything in context. I'm talking this worldwide, right? So worldwide, we're talking about this, historically and globally. Put those two concepts. Whenever we talk about Islam, talk about it. If you really want to have a real conversation, historically and globally, please put that up. Whenever we want to talk about Islam, just put historically and globally. It's very important. Globally, we're going to take in consideration the whole world, not just my area. Historically, generation to generation to generation. It's very important. If you want to understand Islam properly, if you don't have a historical and global understanding of the deen, you don't understand Islam. Period. You don't. If you just have a regional or a local understanding of the deen, you don't understand Islam at all. It is a must that you have a historical and global view, outlook to understand Islam. Without it, you're just talking. So that opposing creedal stance you have should match in its authentication. It should match at the same level, at least if we're going to give it some academic acceptance. You have to, like, so you're telling me I'm not Ash'ari, I'm not Maturidi. Okay, what are you? I'm following this. What's its foundation? What are these core beliefs? How has it spread globally and historically? Who are its leading scholars? And has it ever been the established, accepted practice of Muslims as its standard? That's a serious question to ask. Let's bring it to the conversation I was having. So I told the person who was talking about, following the madhab and Ash'ari and Maturidi, or in fiqh, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, said, I don't follow none of that. So I said, okay, mashallah, what do you follow? I follow Quran and Sunnah. Let me ask you a question. Do not the tens of thousands in each school of scholars, I'm not talking about regular people, scholars, top-ranking scholars, Islamic legal minds, theological minds, foundational principles of Islam minds, minds of language, minds of grammar, minds of tafsir, explanation of hadith, the top minds in Islam, they didn't follow Quran and Sunnah. I mean, as you saying that as if I follow Quran and Sunnah. The people you're talking about were the ones who the Quran and Sunnah you claim to follow reach you. That don't make no sense. Because what you're saying is they don't, when you say I follow Quran and Sunnah, that can give the impression that those tens of thousands of scholars, top-ranking scholars, I didn't say 1, 2, 3, I said tens of thousands. Globally and historically, all of them didn't follow Quran and Sunnah. But you do? Come on. Let's think about this. I mean, we have some intelligence. Come on. We're not that gullible. That don't make no sense. Notice what I said. Those ones that you're opposing, saying you follow Quran and Sunnah, were the same people who the Quran and Sunnah reached you, whether you know it or not. It was them. They were the ones who conveyed the Quran and Sunnah, historically and globally, so that you can even say Quran and Sunnah. What kind of claim is that? That doesn't even make sense when you think about it. Do y'all follow this? We're just talking about the claim itself. We didn't even go into what is needed yet to understand Quran and Sunnah. I'm just talking about the claim at face value. Doesn't make any sense. It is a fallacy. Doesn't make sense at all. So let's give it some, in our wildest imagination, let's give that some validity. That means you're following Quran and Sunnah, which implies don't follow them because they're not following Quran and Sunnah, right? So don't follow the Ash'aris or the Maturidis and Creed because they don't follow Quran and Sunnah. But I follow Quran and Sunnah. Okay. Let's give that a go. And these are basic questions you can ask the person who tells you this stuff. How long have you studied Quran and Sunnah? Now, we got to get real technical here. The Quran and the Sunnah is only in the Arabic language. Please put that up. The Quran and the Sunnah is only in the Arabic language. Put that up. It's very important. You must. Now, some people may get kind of shook what I'm getting ready to say, but we just got to be honest here. I want us to think, because our religion is at stake here. Honestly, this stuff going to destroy our religion if we don't catch it. And we got to do our best. It's, right? This is important to understand. Can we all copy that? The Quran and the Sunnah is only in the Arabic language. Can everyone copy that? Because this is an important key point to what we're talking about. So we can cut the chase with a lot of this stuff, right? So when I ask the question, how long have you been studying Quran and Sunnah? The automatic assumption is that you are proficient in the Arabic language. That's an automatic, that's a given for that question. If I say to you, how long have you been studying the Quran and Sunnah? What is already a given fact that you are proficient in Arabic language? Do y'all got that point? So if the person says, I am not proficient in the Arabic language, their whole claim is canceled. Do y'all understand that? If the person to that question says, I'm not proficient in the Arabic language, their whole claim is canceled. It doesn't hold any weight. Zero. Let's not get emotional about this. I'm included in that. I'm not proficient in the Arabic language, so I'm included. Hence, that's why I follow a madhab, right? Because I'm not going to make a false claim. So don't feel bad. You know, we get, what you trying to say? If I don't know Arabic, yeah, I'm saying that. If you don't know Arabic, you don't know the Quran and the Sunnah. You know some aspects of the Quran and the Sunnah. But if you don't know Arabic, it is impossible for you to know the Quran and Sunnah because you don't have access to it. Is that like that's difficult or complicated to understand? It's not an insult. It's true. Do y'all follow me on this? I'm not trying to be sarcastic. Seriously. It's true. You don't. Not because you're a bad person. You don't have access. It's not, I'm not insulting you. It applies to me too. It's not an insult. It's true. You don't have access. You don't. So there is no way you're following Quran and Sunnah when you don't even have access to it. That's impossible. It's not an insult. It's true. You can't do it, right? So we can't change our religion. We can't make the Quran and Sunnah English or French or German or Spanish. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in the Arabic language, and he sent it to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and in Arabic language, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke the Arabic language. Not only did he speak the Arabic language, he spoke the highest level of the Arabic language. That's the fact. He was an Arab. That's true. Who spoke the Arabic language. That's true. And Allah in his wisdom made it that way, and we don't go against the will of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. That's the way it is. So, no matter how many translations we have, no matter how good the translation is, it's still not precisely the revelation. It's someone's understanding of the revelation, which could be right, which could be wrong. Could be close to the meaning, could be far away from the meaning. All those are possibilities. But it's not what Allah revealed. This is very important, nor what the Prophet ﷺ conveyed. Is this point clear? I mean, this is not foggy to no one, right? Because sometimes when we hear such a claim, we act like we don't know this stuff. So that assumption, we're going to wipe out anyone who's not proficient in the Arabic language. So we're going to cut that discussion down. So if that person is making that claim and they're not proficient in the Arabic language, and I said proficient, I didn't say just knows Arabic. There's a difference. Let me make it easier. Y'all listen to me kind of often. I'm not proficient in the English language. Would you agree? Would you agree? Amin Muhammad is not proficient in the English language. Would you agree? See, I'm going to help you. I'll be the first one to take the dart. I'm not proficient in the English language. Would you agree? Right? I make English grammar mistakes, pronunciation mistakes, got my own meanings for words all the time. I do. However, you still understand what I'm talking about, right? You still can follow me. I speak English. You do understand, right? I speak English, but I'm not proficient in the English language. So I'm not going to be a reference to the meanings and ways of speaking, even in English. I'm not going to be a reference at all. I don't know English well enough to be any kind of authority in the English language. That's agreed, and most of us are the same, right or wrong. Is that not the case with most of us? To be honest, right? Right. We just be honest, like, so you don't take it personal. We know if we just be honest, that's most. We have our own language. We call it English. It's not English. It's some stuff we made up, right? It's us. Guess what? The Arabs do the same thing. So the average Arab doesn't know Arabic. So don't think this is something strange. The average Arab does not know Arabic at all. He can speak just like we can speak. He can talk. He can, but his literacy in Arabic language, his proficiency in Arabic is very little. Maybe the average person may not even have a 4th grade education. Honestly. So let's keep this, because we're talking about religion. We have to have context. So the person who's saying that Quran and Sunnah, number one, especially the one, he doesn't know Arabic. Not proficiency, doesn't know Arabic. How do you follow the Quran and Sunnah? It's impossible. You don't even know what the Quran and Sunnah says. So what are you doing in actuality? Now follow me. What are you actually doing? You're following somebody who you believe understands Arabic and understands the Quran and Sunnah. Do you understand that? So that's what you're really saying. You're not doing anything. You're following someone who you believe knows Arabic, is proficient in Arabic, and they're following the Quran and Sunnah. Do y'all got that? Please get this point. So the person who makes that claim, what they're really doing is following someone who they believe is proficient in Arabic, and that person is following the Quran and the Sunnah. Let's put it in context. Do you follow my point? Are y'all with me? This is very important. It'll save you years of headache. Are y'all with me? Do y'all follow the point? So, since that's the case, and let's move it, and that's the non-Arab. Let's move it to the Arab, the everyday Arab person who's not a scholar. He's doing the same thing, just doing it in Arabic, because he's not proficient in Arabic. So what he's doing, when he says, I follow Quran and Sunnah, he's following somebody who he believes is proficient in Arabic, and that person is following the Quran and Sunnah. That's his belief. Whether it's true or false, that's what he's actually doing, and that's what he actually believes, right? Do y'all got that? So what he's doing is following someone he believes or she believes is qualified. That is the essence of following a madhab. Do you follow what I mean? That person who says that is following someone who they believe is qualified to extract the issues related to creed or practice from the Quran and the Sunnah, and they trust them because they believe they're qualified to do it. That is the essence of following a madhab. Do y'all got that point? Y'all with me? I need to engage because I can't see you. So you have to answer, inshallah. Let me know that you're following, because I'm trying to get an understanding for us so that we can develop. Okay. So everybody's following here now. We established that, because we established you're not qualified. So that's so we can get the false claims out. You're not qualified. I'm not qualified. Here's who I'm following. So when I say I'm Ash'ari or Maturidi, that means I'm following a methodology that was established and verified by these methods, by these routes, these scholars, these books all around the world. This is my people who I believe are qualified, who are proficient in Arabic, who understand the Quran and Sunnah, and I trust them. It's a matter of trust. These are the people I trust. Now we examine this. These are tens of thousands of top-ranking scholars in every generation, in every place in the world where Islam settled. That's who I'm following. Vast majority of the Muslim nation. Now I reverse that to the one who says that. Who's that person you're following? Could you please identify them for me? Because it ain't you. So who are you taking your understanding from to follow Quran and Sunnah? Now you have to deliver that person or those people. Who are the ones you're taking from? Because we're all taking from someone. Here's our route. Identify Ash'ari Maturidi. So that means there's a structure, there's books, there's scholars, there's chains of narrations, they're in different fields, research. This is all in the school. This is all within the madhab, right? Now switch. Your Quran and Sunnah madhab, who is it? From whom are you taking? Now let's examine the qualifications of the ones you're taking from. Do y'all got the analogy? Do y'all have the analogy? You get the point when I'm aiming at here. Because now we established that you have a madhab. Whether that madhab is true or false, because you're saying the madhabs of Ash'ari and Maturidi are incorrect. And my madhab is correct. You just didn't say madhab. I just showed you that that's a madhab, right? So now let's examine your madhab. And let's compare. Let's examine your madhab. Who are its teachers? Who are its scholarly authorities that represent your madhab? When you bring those out, most likely the person has never even thought of it like this. They just parroting phrases they heard from some people who are pushing a madhab. Right? Which is not realistic. But when you examine that, then you're going to say, okay, Let's take these individuals and let's take their understanding of what is needed to deduce rulings, whether they're legal rulings or rulings related to the creed, and then say this is the position of Islam and this is the methodology that we should follow. Who's the person that's doing that you're following? Let's examine their scholarly skill set to do that, as opposed to those scholars that were Ash'ari and Maturidi. So you're going to have to know something about scholarship here. You're going to have to know something about the Islamic sciences here. All this stuff is going to have to kick in if we're going to do a fair comparison. Let's give you an analogy so does not get complicated. Let's give you an analogy. How many of you went to a university, or intend to go to a university? Just say I. Let me get some quick numbers, because we have a lot of people. I want to know how many of us really engaging too. Just say I. Been to a university, in a university, or plan to go to a university? Say I. I count on you to understand this. If you use your intellect to go to the university, please don't leave your intellect on the porch when you got to learn Islam, right? Like you went to school. You should have some level of intelligence. Use it, right? Just school. I'm talking about regular school. I ain't talking about Islamic school. Regular school. Like these Howard University people that's waving their Howard flag, right? Let me start some trouble. Like, did anyone go to the real HU? No, I'm joking. Uh-oh, click, click, click. Now let me stop. Right. So when you decided to go to the university, didn't you consider the quality of education and instruction that you would get at that university? Wasn't that in your consideration? What do they offer? What are their specializations? And if you was really good, who are the professors that teach there? What are their backgrounds? If you was really good, you're spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year. I would hope that you just didn't, don't worry, let me go anywhere. You were deliberate in ensuring that you were going to get a quality education. I'm quite sure, right? Now, even if you had financial restraints that force you to choose, even within those financial restrictions that you had, you found the best at your ability within your financial ability. You still look for quality, right? I'm quite sure this is what you do, right? So take that same scale, right, and apply it to the deen, which is much more important. And that's the scale that will help you determine which madhab you're going to follow, because you're going to follow a madhab. Whether that madhab is an established, accepted madhab or a new madhab that is not established and not accepted, but followed by some people. Do y'all understand the difference? So whoever tells you I don't follow a madhab is actually lying to you. What does more say? I don't follow those madhabs. I follow this madhab. Do y'all got this point? Is this point clear? The title? Is it clear? It's very important because I'm going to go somewhere else with it, but I need to. Is there any question about the clarity of that statement? So, with that being said, now I'm going to circle right around. When I say we are Ash'ari and Maturidi in creed, put that again. We are Ash'ari and Maturidi in creed. I'll put it up myself. Creed means Aqidah. Can everyone copy that? Come back. What are you not clear about? Be patient, but also make sure you get clarification. What are you not clear about? Come back just for you. Is it the information or the concept? Or I don't know you, so maybe the whole thing is you don't know what I'm talking about. Then you would have to be patient. But if you understand the general concept and there's something particular you don't understand, maybe that would help you. But I don't know who you are, so I can't know what you're exactly not following. Okay. Why am I saying that? Because we must, for the preservation of our foundational creedal convictions, we must be loud and clear that the methodology that we follow as Sunni Muslims is the Ash'ari and Maturidi creed. And whatever agrees with them in the foundationals of the creed, we're going to go beyond the name to the actual creed itself. First, we just get the name so you recognize this creed that we're going to talk about is known by the Ash'ari or Maturidi creed, right? The name is identifying a systematic structure of belief. Do y'all got that? Do y'all got that point? Do y'all follow me? Because what I've discovered is because the name is strange to you, some people get hung up on the name and don't realize there's a whole structure of creedal beliefs that name identifies, right? And there's a whole system behind that, right? Okay, come back. I have to come to that another. That's a whole entirely different discussion. That requires a whole different discussion. Just stick around. You'll see how it connects and relates to Black people. That's all we talk about anyway. We get censored for that too. But just stick around, right? So when we say Ash'ari, it's not sufficient just to say Ash'ari and Maturidi, but you don't know their creed. What is the creed of the Ash'aris and the Maturidis? Um, right? So that is the actual learning part. What I realize is we have to backtrack and do it again. We've done it, but maybe it wasn't connecting. So people didn't connect the dots, right? So it needs to be done again. So just the name is identifying this structure of beliefs of Sunni Muslims, right? That's when we say Ash'ari and Maturidi. It means something. So when you say you're Ash'ari, for instance, it's already known that you believe that Allah is attributed with existence, with oneness, with pre-eternity, with everlastingness, with non-resemblance to the creation, with non-neediness of the creation, etc. The prophets are attributed with truthfulness, trustworthiness, conveying the message, etc. That you believe this, you believe that. Just when you say Ash'ari, all that stuff is known, right? That's already, Ash'ari means you believe that. When you say Maturidi, it is known that you believe these things. And then where there's a difference between the Ash'ari, that's why you say Maturidi. In this case, in this case, in this case, in this case. That's the learning process. Do y'all follow my point? But once you say Ash'ari, it's known. So if someone comes to me and says, I'm Ash'ari, I already know what they believe. It's not, I don't got to guess. If you're Ash'ari, this is your creed. These are the books you study. These are the scholars you refer to. This is your chains of narration. You're Ash'ari. Now, if someone comes and says, I'm Ash'ari, and they come up with some other stuff, you're not Ash'ari. I don't know what that is you're talking about. Do you see my point? It's a structure. It's a system. Right? They have the same methodology. All right. So I'm saying that we say that. So now, because when you are tricked, and you're tricked when you don't know, when you're tricked into saying, I just follow Quran and Sunnah, they took you out of a madhab and put you in another madhab and didn't tell you. You didn't realize that you just been played. Oh, it's divisive. It's divisive. This is the established way of Sunni Muslims. Why is your madhab not the divisive one? Why did you make the established madhabs divisive? Right? Because these are established. These have its whole structure, scholarship, everything. You're telling us something different from that, but it's not divisive, yet it contradicts everything we've conveyed Islamically. Do me a favor. Like I got to, y'all want to have a debate about whether Islam is for blacks or not for blacks. We have that discussion all the time. Try to resist the temptation to feed into that right now. I'm talking about something else that's really important. So try not to distract the conversation to something that we're not talking about at this moment. We talk about that all the time. We got plenty of time to talk about that. But right now, let's stick where we at. Can we engage each other in that, please? Because we get distracted and we'll be way over there and forgot all about what we're talking about. Don't do that, right? And I don't like to block people unnecessarily. We're going to talk about that issue. Trust me, just stick around. We talk about it all the time. Just right now, we're not talking about that, right? At this moment, it's coming. Don't worry. Probably tomorrow night, they're going to be talking about, on the Black Imams Roundtable, they're going to be talking about Black people in Islam. Trust me. Tomorrow night, that's what I'm going to be talking about at Stockton University. So if you're local, you can come. I'm going to have this whole discussion from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night at the university, Stockton University in Atlantic City. I'm going to have this whole conversation. So you're welcome, right? And they're probably going to live stream it. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's available, right? We don't shy away from the Black issue. Wrong place. This channel, we get criticized for talking about Black stuff so much. We don't shy away from that. So but right now, we got a bigger fish to fry. We got bigger fish to fry right now. Not meaning that's not important, but this is more important. Because if I'm Black and I die as a disbeliever, I'm in trouble, right? Ain't gonna save me none, right? So, the issue, and that's why I keep pushing this issue, because what has happened is, by us remaining silent, without realizing it, we've given strength to an invalid madhab. Do y'all understand that? By us remaining silent about our established Sunni schools of thought in creed and in practice, we've given strength to invalid madhabs that don't call themselves madhabs, but they are madhabs. They're just invalid. They're not as well documented, established, with all these resources, but they are madhabs, just invalid ones. They're not valid to follow, but they are madhabs. So don't let nobody tell you they don't follow a madhab. They do. It's just invalid. It's not an established madhab, but it is a madhab. Even if its principles are silly, they have principles, whatever they may be. Do y'all got that? So don't let nobody tell you that. Because so it becomes important for you to understand what a madhab is and what it consists of and how it's structured and what's necessary to have an established madhab. And once you understand that, then the other stuff don't make sense. Y'all follow my point? Okay, I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to come back with this, but I think this is important because I want us to not only be able to speak about something, but to really understand it. Like, don't just say I'm Ash'ari. Say it as well as understanding what you're saying and all that it contains, right? That's why when we speak like we speak, because I'm not making a claim for myself. Like, to me, I'm gonna tell you how I see it. If these madhahib in creed and practice and these turuk in spirituality, if all this stuff is wrong, our religion is not trustworthy. That's how I see it. If all this stuff is wrong, with the way it reached us, our religion is not reliable. And that's not accepted. I want you to understand that. If we wipe all this stuff out and say it was all wrong, that opens the door wide open to say our religion is wrong. Do y'all understand that? Let me explain to you why. The same people that convey these schools and these methodologies and these are the same people who conveyed the Quran and the Sunnah. If they were untrustworthy here, they were untrustworthy there. A liar and a fabricator is a liar and a fabricator, and they can't be trusted no matter what they're conveying, even if they're conveying the truth. They got to be validated. On their own claim, not acceptable. Do y'all understand that? So you telling me the whole way I got my religion were a bunch of mistaken fabricators who contradicted the Quran and Sunnah? If that's true, then why I'm going to accept what they conveyed? Because they were the ones that conveyed the Quran and the Sunnah. That doesn't make sense. If they were so malicious to fabricate all this, what made them so trustworthy to convey the Quran and the Sunnah? Because you didn't do that, and neither did your scholars. Those scholars did. Then you're putting doubt in the religion. And what you end up doing is putting doubt in the religion and then making your own version of the religion that we would follow. Putting doubt in the religion and then making your own version of the religion that we would follow. We used to have something we used to say in the street: game recognized game. Like, we could catch that. So what you do is give us your own deen. And that's what my teachers used to say. They said they came with an entire new religion. They came with a new religion called Islam, but it's not Islam at all. That's deep stuff. He said they came with a new religion. They called it Islam, but it's not Islam at all. And what has happened is they replaced true Islam with that new religion. Deep. And made not learning fashionable. Don't learn your deen. We'll tell you. Don't you learn anything. Just follow us. And this become your deen. And then use, if I want to get more deep, political influence from non-Muslims to establish it in our minds. The greatest story ever told. But I'll stop there and I'll take a few of these questions. If you have questions, go ahead. So to be clear, the Wahhabi people say they follow the Salafi, but would not identify any of the four madhabs. Okay, let's rephrase that, Sister Anisa. May Allah reward you. Okay. I want us to be clear. So, like, no. Okay. Where are you at? I'm sorry. Your question. Okay. Let's get terms. Terms are very important, so write these terms down. You need the term as-salaf, right? I'm just going to say the early Muslims. I'm going to explain, but right? That's one term. As-salaf, right? Keep that term. That's one term. The Salaf are the early generations of Muslims, particularly the first 3 generations after the Prophet ﷺ. So that would be his companions, their followers, and the followers of those followers. If you want to go by time, the widest length you're going to get is those righteous people who lived in the first 300 years after the Prophet ﷺ. That's called a Salaf. The Salaf do not exist anymore. Does everyone understand that? The Salaf have all passed. They do not exist. Do y'all got that? Do everyone understand that? No one from the Salaf exists today. They all passed. That was a period of time. And that time has passed. Right? So the Salaf was a great period of time and knowledge and piety and righteousness that has passed. Right? So that's one point. Since you asked, Sister Anissa, are you following me? Because you were the one to ask the question. So everyone is getting, but I want to make sure you follow me, right? Right? Okay. That's one thing. So the Salaf is gone. No one today is from the Salaf. Not one person living. Unless there's some special miracle like Al-Qadr, right? Then he's still alive according to the majority of our scholars. But that's a special spiritual matter. So he did live during the time of the Salaf, and the vast majority of scholars say he's still alive. But that's an exception to the norm, right? But in general, in practical senses, no one from the Salaf is existing. Am I clear on that? Everybody follow me? Okay, good. Next word, Al-Wahhabiyya. Are the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab al-Najdi, who died 1206 AH. Okay, period. Right? That's the next term. As Salaf, we establish. Al-Wahhabiyya, because you asked about Wahhabi people. Al-Wahhabiyya, that's what they're called, are the followers of a man named Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and Najdi, meaning he's from Najd, from the eastern part of Arabia. He died in the year 1206 after Hijrah, right? We're in 1445. So roughly 240 years ago, right? He lived, he died. So that's that man. His followers were known in the Islamic world as Al-Wahhabiyya in relation to being his followers. So they called them Wahhabiyya because they followed him. Is that clear? Just so you know, terms are not, because terms, if you don't know what they refer to, you're going to get confused. Right. Y'all got that? Okay. The next term, as-Salafiyya. Sorry, I failed typing in school, so be patient. Okay, last term, Salafiyya. As Salafiyya, pay attention, are those, or Salafiyya are the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and or those who claim to follow Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah, who was from Damascus, Syria, who died in the year 728 AH. Do y'all got it? So, now, pay attention to what I did. I explained who the Salaf were, right? I identified them. I identified Al-Wahhabiyya as known by the Sunni scholars in that time. So in the beginning of in the end of the 12th century, in the beginning of the 13th century, when Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab raised his ideas, the Sunnis, Ash'aris, Maturidis, Hanafis, Malikis, Shafi'is, Hanbalis, Sufis, that was the traditional Sunni methodology, called them Al-Wahhabiyya. Do y'all got that? That's what they identified them as. The Wahhabiyya claim that the ideas of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab were the true ideas of as-Salaf. That's their claim, right? Hence, when that name Wahhabiyya became known as a deviant name, which it did, they begin to identify themselves as Salafiyya, right? They begin to identify themselves as Salafiyya, meaning we are not coming with some new ideas that were started by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Actually, the ideas of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, according to us, are the way of as-Salaf. Do y'all follow that? This is understanding, being just completely fair. No one's going to argue with that. What y'all calling Wahhabiyya, you Sunnis, you Ash'aris, Maturidis, Hanafis, Malikis, Shafis, Hanbalis, Sufis, what y'all call Wahhabiyya, in reality to us, is the way of the Salaf. So we are not Wahhabiyya, we are as Salafiyya in the fact that our ideas are the ideas of the Salaf. That's what we believe. The Sunnis, the traditional Sunnis before Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, reject that claim, say you're not Salafiyya, you're Wahhabiyya. Right? Do you follow my point? Did you get that? We're not talking about right, wrong, or indifferent. We're just talking about historical facts. Not who you agree with, who you don't agree with. I want you to understand the terms. Right? Once you understand the term, then you can have a better conversation. Because when you hear today, many people, they hear Salafiyya, they think that's the Salaf. No, these are the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab and or those who claim to follow Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah. And they're carrying those ideas of those two individuals who believe that their ideas were the ideas of the Salaf, which the majority of Muslims disagree with. Do you got that? Do you understand the concept? Anissa, you follow me? This is not like a debate. This is just facts. Anyone who would disagree with it would be being foolish. Because it's not if you're right or wrong, it's that's what happened. Yes. Now, whether you're right or wrong, that's a whole nother conversation. But we'll get wrapped up in the conversation and not deal with the facts of what really happened. And you want the proof of that? Every Salafi who's a true Salafi, now remember, the Salafiyya have become a bunch of groups, right? And that's another deep discussion. But all of them who are considered accepted Salafiyya, all of them refer to the books and creed of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, every single one of them, which substantiates the fact that they are the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Every one of them who are accepted Salafis follow the books of Muhammad ibn Taymiyyah and his ideas, right? Do y'all follow that? So this is just a fact. So if you say, well, we don't, okay, give me your curriculum, because we give you the Ash'ari curriculum, the Maturidi curriculum. There's certain books, there's certain scholars. That's established. Give me your madhab. The first steps are the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That's the first books you're going to tell us to study. Then after that, the books of Ibn Taymiyyah and his students. So that's a fact. You can't deny that. And if you say no, then you have another form of Salafiyya that the Salafiyya that are the established, accepted scholars would never accept from you. So that's another madhab called Salafiyya. I don't know which one it is, but you've made up. You follow my point? These are facts. This is not like a debate. We're not talking about right or wrong at this stage. We're just trying to understand what's being said, right? It's obvious, totally disagree with that claim, but that doesn't mean it's not their claim. Whether I agree or not, it's still their claim. I just want to know your claim. I want to know what you're talking about. Don't confuse me. What are you actually saying? That's all I'm asking. Once I understand what you're saying, then I can deal with the validity of what you're saying. But I first need to understand you first before I try to understand if your claim is valid. What is your claim? That's your claim. Now we can discuss, once we agree on terms, what we mean by that, what is to be understood. Now we can discuss the validity of those terms. That's a whole nother, that's an entire, completely different discussion. But if you mesh it all together, it's the way to keep you confused. You know what you're talking about. No confusion. Do y'all follow that? Is this clear? This like, it's not like, because any Salafi can't argue with that. They'll try to make another discussion. We're not talking about that. Let's deal with what we're talking about. What does this term mean? What does this term mean? What does this term mean? Right? And what supports each of those terms? That's it. Is that true? Yes, that's true. Okay. Now we got the claim. Now let's talk about, is that claim valid? That's it's different discussion, right? That's important that we understand these. And here, listen, once we start understanding and dealing with things as they are, not how we would like them to be, that's how you learn to cooperate with one another if there's the ability to cooperate. Do you follow my point? Listen, we don't have to argue. Let's understand what we're saying here. And maybe if we're all clear in what we're saying, what you think is an argument may not be an argument. May not even be a debate. It's just your way you feel. I can't do nothing about that. I totally disagree with you. But at least I understand what you're saying. I understand fully. I just disagree. I don't think that's correct. And you may say the same thing the other way. But first, before you can do any of that, you have to understand. If you don't understand, then you're just disagreeing to be disagreeable. You don't even understand, right? So what are we talking about here, right? Does this sound familiar? Sometimes people's arguing with their spouse and they never get to see what the other is really talking about in the first place. What are you arguing about? It was not even an argument. You didn't even understand what I'm talking about. So that's the answer to your question. So one last thing, Sister Anissa, because you said something and I want you to fix it. Right? You have to get the terms right. They're very important. Follow me. Because they don't, in fact, follow the Salafi. Say Salaf. So when you say here, don't say Salafi. Let's change this. I'm going to take that out. Say, right? Man, my copy and paste. Say, because they don't, in fact, follow the Salaf. Right? Don't say Salafi. Right? But made their own innovations. Right? So say the Salaf here. And so when you say this, don't say Salafi, because Salafi is an individual from the group as Salafiyya who claim to to as Salaf. So instead of saying Salafi, because you're talking about a person when you say Salafi, you're not talking about that group. You're not talking about that era of time. You're talking about an individual. And Salafi is the individual. Salafiyya is the group of those individuals, right? So the Salafi belongs to or follows the Salafiyya, but he claims to follow the Salaf. So in that context, you would say, because they don't in fact follow the Salaf, but made their own innovations. That's what the Sunni, Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, Sufis, they believe about them. Yes, y'all don't really follow the Salaf. What y'all have is innovated ideas and beliefs of Ahmed ibn Taymiyyah, who died in 728, and Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, who died in 1206. That's our belief about your claim, that it's an innovation that is not valid. You follow my point? So just reword it, right? Absolutely not. The majority of Muslims in Syria are Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali. Very little bit of Hanbalis, and all mostly are Sufi. In Syria, the majority of scholars and people are Hanafi or are Ash'ari and Maturidi in creed, are Hanafi, Shafi'i, and some Hanbalis in fiqh, and all are Sufis. Except where those Wahhabi ideas have crept in and unlearned people. But the scholars of Syria are Sunnah, Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Sufi. That's Syria. I know it on the ground. My teachers are Syrians. My chains are Syrians. I have complete chains of nothing but Syrian scholars all the way back to the Sahaba. So no one can come tell me that I know that like the back of my hand, right? So someone come tell you, oh, the Syrians were Wahhabi. The Syrians, they don't think highly of Wahhabis, except those Syrians who didn't like their oppressive government, and they went to Saudi Arabia, and to survive, they accepted those Wahhabi ideas to live in Saudi Arabia. That's politics. But they themselves were Ash'ari, Maturidi, but they living in Saudi, so they got to play the political game. A lot of that happens. But Syrians are Ash'ari and Maturidi generationally, from generation to generation to generation to generation, right? And that's a fact. And I studied, and my teachers are Syrian and top scholars from Syria. They're all Ash'ari and Maturidi, Hanafi and Aqidah, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, some Hanbalis in fiqh, and all of them are Sufis. That one, no one can tell me, because the top scholars of Syria are the teachers of my teachers and teachers that I actually met at the higher levels. They're all like that. So someone tell you that about Assyria has lied to you. And if you see a Syrian Wahhabi, you know he got afflicted when he went to Saudi Arabia or reading the books of Nasruddin al-Albani. But that never became, still to this day, that never became the practice of the people of Sham. No way. Absolutely not. Okay, let me take the other questions. My apologies for interrupting. No interruption. But are there any books that are translated in English that break down the foundation? Yes, go to our website. Here's a book. Let me give you. And we got many books like that. I'll put some next week or tomorrow. What's happening? Let me give you. This book is available. I don't know how many it is, so you have to go look. This book is available, and it talks about this issue. And there are other books. But in the creed section, so that's specifically about the Ash'aris and Maturidi, right? There is, in this section, all these books in this section are Ash'ari books, right? So if you wanted to go find about all that information, go there. All them books tell you the Ash'ari creed and explain all that. But that one, first one I put specifically tells the Ash'ari and Maturidi. And there are other books, I just didn't put them out because I used them for classes, but I'll mention them tomorrow if I don't forget. So that's available on the website. If one said he is Sunni, then he is Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, or follow Ash'ari. Traditionally, a Sunni, and this is me, a Sunni means Ahl Sunnati wal. Sunni is short for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? The person who follows the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah is a Sunni. And Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Ash'aris and Maturidis in creed, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, and fiqh, and people of Tasawwuf. That complete combination is a Sunni. Whoever doesn't have that complete combination is not recognized as a true Sunni. They are Sunni in some things, but the Sunni Muslim has a certain methodology, And all three of those are the primary foundations of the Sunni methodology. No Sunni is missing one of those. So he's Ash'ari, Shafi'i, Sufi, Hanafi, Maturidi, Sufi, Maliki, Ash'ari, Sufi, Hanbali, Ash'ari, or following the foundational creed of the Hanabila of the latter ages, which was similar to the Ash'aris in the foundational creed. And Sufi, that's Sunni Islam. When any of those things is missing, the person's not Sunni. In general, they may have Sunni in specific issues, but just to say that person's a Sunni, no. So when we say Sunni, yes. Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah are the Ash'ira and the Maturidiyah in creed. So keep this in mind. Creed, fiqh, and tasawwuf, Sufism, are three different sciences. So if he's Ash'ari, that doesn't tell you what madhab he follows in fiqh, right? Or what Sufi route he takes. It's individual. Each person or each individual has their different methodologies or approaches in the different Islamic sciences. Is that clear? Is that clear? All three. So for instance, I'm Ash'ari, I'm Shafi'i, and I'm Sufi. That's a methodology I follow, right? In my Sufism, my methodology of following is the spiritual path of Ba'alawi. That's my way I follow, right? That's me personally, right? So in our creed, I'm Ash'ari. In Aqidah. In fiqh, I'm Shafi'i. In spirituality, the path that I study and follow and adhere to is Ba'alawi. The principles of tasawwuf that I follow is Tariq Ba'alawi, which is a spiritual path of the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ from the Hadramaut Valley in Yemen. That's why you always hear me talking about Imam al-Haddad, and the books we study are Al-Habib Abdullah bin Hussein bin Tahir and all these Ba'alawi books. They're the family of the Prophet, their spiritual path in Hadramaut Valley. That's the spiritual path I follow. I've learned other spiritual paths, but you ask me what I personally follow, that's what I follow. But did I learn before even knowing of that? I was Rifa'i. I learned Qadiri Tariqa. I learned Naqshbandi Tariqa. I've met scholars from all these different paths, and I've sat with them and I've studied with them. And so, but for me personally, I'm Ba'alawi. So now you're not confused. That's the way he follows. Right. That's a Sunni. So some would be Maturidi, Hanafi, Qadiri. Like Imam Naim, he's Ash'ari, Maliki, Qadiri. Right? Like Imam Fahim, he is Ash'ari, Shafi'i, Shadhili. Right? Do you follow? That's a Sunni. If you don't put all those three things together, then I don't know what kind of Sunni you are. You're Sunni in some things. Right? Y'all follow? Okay. I'm trying to get all these questions out. There's a bunch of them. Are you taking advanced questions on the topic that require explanation? No. Right? But it depends. If you're not asking something that's going to take away from the subject, yes. If you're going to ask one of those philosophical questions that have nothing to do with the root subject, no. So you put it up there and I'll tell you yes or no. But I know you, Farouk, you be all way over and talking about the blue planet and Dr. York and, the 19th galaxy, the 19th avatar, and and the sons of the green light and all over the place. No, I'm not going there. Right? This is me having fun. This Farouk's my buddy. What's the opinion of the Ash'ari and Maturidi on tawassul? All of them practice tawassul. This is established practice of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah from the Ash'ira and the Maturidiyah. The general agreement of them is tawassul is valid and something that is recommended. There's no real difference of opinion among the Ash'ira and Maturidiyah in that issue. That's a difference among the Wahhabiyah and their people. Sunnis make tawassul by the Prophet ﷺ and the righteous and seek traces in their barakah. They make a tawassul and tabarruk and istighatha by the awliya. That's Sunni stuff. Traditional Sunni Islam. Are there any English books about, I put that up already. Chains of narration is something you have to study with living teachers. That's not something, there are books, but books connected to teachers, right? So, for instance, like we have chains of narration, but our chains of narration come through our teachers. So that teacher, that living teacher, is going to tell you about their chains of narration when you study with no teachers. Only way a teacher going to give you his chains of narration is two ways. Number one, he trusts you and don't think you're going to pervert. So for the blessing, he connects you to his chains of narration. That's one way. The other way is you're his student and you're learning with him, and he wants you to understand your lineage back to the Prophet ﷺ or through the book he's teaching you or all of that. So both those ways. One is more intense than the other. The first one is just general. He says, this is my chain of narration, and you can relate from my route for the barakah of it, for the blessing, which is a nice blessing to be connected. The other, he's teaching you as a student, so you understand how Islamic knowledge is conveyed, its route, it's for everything though. So that's in every book you study, that's different. And then he may go to say, teach this according to my route, right? So there's two different things. Real chains of narration should be taken from living teachers. And the difference is, one is someone just got a bunch of names, they don't know what they mean or who they are. And the other, the person understands at every level who that person was, what their significance was, who are their students, who are their teachers at every single level. Because now it's preservation. There's a whole different area of study, right? So when you give a chain of narration, this is different from someone who just like you do now and you see today, they go to a class and they get an isnad and they see I got an isnad. That's for blessing. That's different from actually knowing your chains of narration. That's a whole different study, right? So for instance, if someone brings you the chain and you say, okay, who was that? Who was his students? Who was his teachers? What did they learn? What did they study? Who did he study from? How was it connected? That person who has a general ijazah is not going to know all that. But the person who studied would be telling you at each route who the students were, who the teachers, who were the main students, what books they studied, what they took from them to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, and how that's all connected. That's real study. That part, you need a living teacher to do that. Do y'all understand the difference between the two? So don't get like I heard the other day, and this is popular on the internet. You got people that never really studied with a teacher, ever. They took some online course and the teacher, whoever, gave them an ijazah. and they walk around acting like they have a chain of narration, and they don't know nobody in the chain. If you ask them about the chain, they couldn't tell you nothing. They don't even know who the names are. This is for blessing. And it has a value. You're connected. We don't take that away. There's barakah in it. When that chain, and inshallah, that's a spiritual matter. But in terms of knowledge and practicality, it means it doesn't have any significance for what you're trying to claim. Do you understand the difference? Right? Like, even now, when my teacher became popular, right, in the West, now I see all these people with pictures of the Sheikh, and they don't know Sheikh at all. They never studied with Sheikh. They don't know anything. They don't know his methodology. They don't know what books he studied. They don't know any of that. But they got the picture. They got a picture of their ijazah, and they acting like, yeah, I'm a student of Sheikh. You didn't study with Sheikh. You didn't. I mean, that doesn't take the ijazah that you got. You was in that general class, and everybody got an ijazah, and the Sheikh wanted everyone to be connected, and there's a blessing in that. But that has nothing to do with you studying. So don't fool people, right? You actually didn't study with Sheikh. And if you did, what did you study with Sheikh? Right? And if you studied in America, I know it because I was most likely there, or I arranged it. So I know you didn't study. So don't do that. Just say you in the blessing, and that's cool. It's fine. I tell them all the time, don't come here, even in front of the Sheikh. I used to tell them, don't come here for ijazah, because I know what we do with it. Don't do that. Come to learn, right? Because I know us, we want ijazah to start making claims. And it's not a true claim. If you want an ijazah to make a claim, do the work of that ijazah, right? And I know you don't have it, because I know what it is. And I know you don't have it. I know he didn't give it to you because I know you ain't did the work. Stop. But that doesn't mean there's no blessing. It's a difference. Y'all follow what I mean? This is our religion. We shouldn't play with it. This is our religion. It's serious. It's not a game. People sacrifice their whole entire life to preserve our religion. We shouldn't come alter it and tear it all apart because we have a platform. This is wrong. We shouldn't do that. And it's already established. We don't need to do that. Just say, I don't know, but my teachers do. What's wrong with that? Why you got to have an ego? I don't know. I didn't learn that. But my teachers learned it, and their teachers learned it, and here's the access. All we're doing is transmitting anyway. We ain't that deep. I know everybody want to be, the man, but it's not that deep. We're only transmitting from generation to generation to generation. Maybe you got some new idea that really fits within it, and your great mind, but that's so far and in between. Like, we just transmitters, man. Relax. Not that deep. Just be a good Muslim. But properly practice Islam and don't destroy it. Okay, that's it. I think I'm done with the questions. Did I hit everybody? I didn't leave anybody. That was long. Okay, I'm sorry. There are some other questions. I thought I hit everything. I'm sorry. Let me look. There are a few other questions. That's all. Wow. Okay. Oof, a lot of questions. I thought I was done. I'm going to take these last few questions. And all right, that's an important question. Wow. At least you're engaging. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Are there any scholars or so-called knowledgeable people from among the Wahhabis that say tawassul has its validity in Islam, or do they all say it's shirk? No, some say it's valid. Some. They have differences among them, especially now when the Wahhabi doctrine is being exposed. A lot of people, they keep in some aspects of the Wahhabi things and leaving others, right? So, the Wahhabi thing is constantly developing, but there are some Wahhabis who won't criticize at tawassul. Now, be fair, those Wahhabis who are like that, the other Wahhabis won't consider them Wahhabi or Salafi or whatever. So just to be fair about that. Should we get our school of Tasawwuf from our chain of teachers? Like my teachers are Maulana Fazlur Rahman Ansari and Maulana Abdullah. I don't know who these people are. However, you should take Tasawwuf, you must take Tasawwuf from a trustworthy teacher who took it from trustworthy teachers into that spiritual path, whoever they may be. But individuals, I don't know those people, so I can't speak about who they are. I don't know who they are. But if they are trustworthy people who are Sunni, who learn from trustworthy teachers, in a continuous way, then that's where you take your tasawwuf from. And Allah knows best. Spiritual paths differ from the sheikh and his spiritual experiences and the methodology he uses to reach them. So spiritual paths are going to differ according to the teacher you took it from, right? So depending upon your sheikh, right, whom you learn from, that is going to depend on your methodology, right? So it's not general. Spiritual paths are specific. That's why I say you need a teacher, right? Spiritual paths are not learned from books. They're learned from living masters, right? And what may work for one person may not work for the next. So I'm not a supporter of tasawwuf without direct contact and company of the sheikh. I don't, me, myself, personally, I'm talking to me. I'm not talking about nobody else. I don't give that no weight. Real tasawwuf is accompanying a spiritual master. In his presence, him watching you, you watching him pouring into you, you receiving. If that doesn't exist, to me, it's just claims. I don't. And that's a personal matter. So all this, go get a certain hat and wear a certain shawl and, hang out in a certain group and drink coffee, that's not tasawwuf. That's affiliation. And it has a blessing, but it's not what is intended by a spiritual path. Did I make that clear? So spiritual path, from my experience and understanding, is direct relationship between the sheikh and the salik, or the murshid and the murid. That's a special relationship. If you don't have it, you don't have it. General joining something for the blessing, it's good. But real Sufism, real tariqah, is sheikh murid relationship. And that sheikh should be qualified. And that's a whole nother discussion. Many are those who claim to be sheikh and not a sheikh. But since the murid is not a murid, then therefore I guess it's a perfect relationship. But my teachers, they never accepted this, right? At all, right? I didn't say it's not beneficial. I just said that's not the intended relationship of a spiritual path. That you on the internet affiliating to some person you never met and you never talked to, and he don't know nothing about you. You just assume it's a spiritual meaning, and you know he's watching me, and he says, "Okay, okay." I mean, if you believe it, go for it. But that's not the intended. It's not the intended way. Company, sohbatu sheikh. You need to be in the company of the teacher, and there's a big difference. Reading books on your own without accompanying a true sheikh is the making of a goofy Sufi. You can put that. Reading books on your own without accompanying a true sheikh is the making of a goofy Sufi. That's my feeling. I didn't put it on no one else. I'm telling you that's how I see it. And that's how my teachers saw it. It's the making of a goofy Sufi. They didn't say goofy Sufi, but that's our terminology. Someone's going to be misguided. Reading books on your own, no teacher, no accompanying of that teacher is the making of a goofy Sufi. I'm still learning, even though I have been Muslim for 55 years. I don't know what I am. Who would you be able to help us in that? And we learn together. And we none of us know where we are. We're learning. As long as we keep this point, I'm still learning. We are still learning. We've yet to learn. We're still learning. We're in the process, and we're discovering, and we're researching, and things are being made clear to us. And that's fine. That's a natural process. And together, inshallah, we'll learn. No one's claiming to know. We're learning. We're discovering. And when I discover, as I learn, I share with you. You learn, you share with me. Together, we're going to keep going and going and going. To one day, nobody can't just make us goofy Sufis, right? Somebody ain't going to come take our money because we know better. Someone's not going to come make claims and we don't recognize them. We're going to know this is a claim. We learned because we helped each other. That's what I believe is needed in our community. Some honesty. Like a lot of us, we don't just be honest about the reality. I don't know. I'm learning. That's reality. That's not, I'm learning. And as I learn, I'm sharing what I learned so you can learn too. And then when you learn, hopefully you learn more than me, you don't forget me. And we keep going and going to one day, we have our own scholarship. We have everything we need, and we don't got to be tricked because we actually know. I would like to have real discussions, but sometimes people can't handle real discussions. They get too sensitive. Listen, man, we've been hoodwinked. Let us learn. Okay, Khadijah. Can you eventually have a workshop on Ash'ari Maturidi? Some people really are unclear on the importance of distinguishing between creed and fiqh. Yes. I had a conversation with someone. It's important for us to be able to convey. Yes, we're going to do it. You know my difficult? Do me a favor. Can I ask something of y'all? Can I get everyone attention? Just say yes real quick, that you're paying attention. Yes, real quick. I just need, related to this. I need your help. Just say yes, I'm paying attention. Just yes. I need your help. This is important for this question. Can we have a little bit of loyalty? We have a bunch of people, I'm specifically African American. Asharis, Maturidis, they know exactly what I'm saying. But money and position stops them from speaking. Seriously. Money and position stops them from speaking explicitly. If we show a little loyalty to each other, supporting each other, we can get past that and we can have big open discussions, right? That's a problem. That's why we seem strange, because we're not subject to money. Like, no one pays me. No one pays Imam Fahim. No one pays Imam Naim. None of us have some board over us saying, if you say that, you're fired. None of us are like that. We are actual imams and leaders of our community, which means we're responsible, which means we got to pay out our own pocket. We got to figure it out. No one's doing it for us, right? But at the same time, it allows us to speak, because I'm not worried about if I say that the board going to get mad at me and fire me. I'm not worried about that, right? We have a lot of that problem, right? I'm not worried about if the circuit going to cancel me. They're not going to let me on the platform, the circuit where they have the big, retreats, and I get my honorarium. If I say that, they think I'm controversial and they might not invite me. I'm going to get hit. A lot of that is happening. I don't worry about that. I'll make my own conference, right? Right? So I don't have that problem. But a lot of us do have that problem. And that is because we don't support each other, honestly. Now, I know we'll go, oh, you should speak the truth. No, yeah, because it ain't just survival. That's easier said than done. Not saying I agree with it, but I understand. So how do we fix that? We support our own. We support our own. And I ain't talking about token support. I'm talking about real support, thousands of dollars of support, so that that person is free to be able to just teach as they learned. This is not something strange. Anyone who studied in traditional circles know exactly what I'm talking about. Do y'all follow my point? Anyone who studied traditionally know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's not like I'm saying something strange. This is not new. This is old. I'm not coming up with something like, man, Imam Amin is deep. No, it's normal stuff. This is normal Sunni Islam. But the fact is, people are under so much pressure that they can't speak Sunni Islam because they're the masjids. They're not like that. They're going to get fired. They're not get invited to the event, and they spent all their life learning, and that's how they make their living. So it's a problem, right? So we need to support each other so that we can have independent voices. We need to, seriously. So that's going to help that. But yes, we're going to do it. I would like to not just me do it. I would like to get leaders, imams, people who actually studied. It's a bunch of us that actually sat with teachers, living teachers, covered books, chains of narration. We have that, but they don't. They got to play politics. They can't just be straightforward. Let's remove that. Let's do our own stuff so they don't have to do that. Whether you agree that they should do it or not, that's not my point. Let us support each other so that they don't have to do that. They don't even, like, my people got my back. Right? Do y'all follow what I'm saying? Do you understand? So when we ask for donations, we're asking so we can have free voices. It's important. It's so important. And I hope we realize how important that is. It's killing us. Okay. So yes, Khadija, we're going to do it after Ramadan, inshallah. Don't let me forget. We'll do a whole weekend course on it. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. with the books, with everything. Lay it all out. Inshallah. Just don't let me forget. And I have some people, but it's not going to be free because I have to pay the teachers that going to help do it. I can do it myself, but then it still look like it's just me. That doesn't work. I need help, right? So I got to pay the other teachers. And there's nothing wrong. They should be paid, right? We're learning, we're benefit. We should pay them. Why not? Do y'all agree we should pay our teachers, right? Do y'all agree with that? It's in our books of fiqh. They're allowed to get paid, They have to live. We cannot study and then starve. It doesn't work. We have to do our part. That's why the suburban communities take our imams, because they pay and we don't. So the guy comes and study. Instead of going back in the hood and serving, he go in the suburbs where he get paid. So we should learn something. All right. Can you elaborate on this weekend in Newark, New Jersey? Okay. This weekend, this Saturday, at the Temple of Hip Hop in Newark, New Jersey. So the address is, man, I keep forgetting to put this flyer up. I'm sorry. So this Saturday, which is March the 2nd, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., the Black Imams Roundtable will be at the Temple of Hip Hop, 55 Ludlow Street in Newark, New Jersey. So this is the address. I'll quickly. Temple of Hip Hop. '55 Ludlow. Ludlow Street. Newark, New Jersey. And okay, so that's where it's going to be at. And we're going to talk about Ramadan and a summarized explanation of the new translation by the great Imam Naim Abdullah on behalf of the Black Imams Roundtable of the Creed of Tahawiyah. So that's going to be here's the flyer, but it should be, let me take that down. So there's the flyer. I'll leave it up. In the Temple of Hip, so you can get y'all do those screenshot things. The address is here. The address is right there. Let me move that over. Come on, move. There it go, right there. There's the information. I'll leave it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Share it, right? And there's the flyer. Come down. All right. There it go. Newark, New Jersey. And inshallah, tomorrow I'll put the flyer on the screen. I forgot. Okay. Okay, there's that, Malika. Furqan, So are you saying just reading the books of Tasawwuf like Imam Ghazali, Imam Haddad, and following what they say in the book is not Tasawwuf? No, that's Tasawwuf. That's not Tariqah. That's different. That's Tasawwuf. And that's good. You should do it. That's not having a sheikh and following the Tariqah. It's two different things. So reading the books of Imam Ghazali and Al-Haddad and all the other books, they're beneficial. But that's not what is meant by spiritual path. That's reading books and benefiting. Spiritual path is following a spiritual guide, a living spiritual guide. That's totally two different things. So that's what's meant by tariqah. But it's not obligatory to take a tariqah. What is obligatory is get rid of those bad traits. And if you can do that by reading Ghazali works and Imam Haddad works, and it works for you, and you've reached the objective. But if not, you can't do it, then you need someone to help you do it. That's the purpose of a tariqah. Do you follow? So that's what Imam Ghazali mentioned when he said tasawwuf is obligatory. He meant removing blameworthy traits and adorning yourself with praiseworthy traits and following the way of taqwa. That's obligatory. If you could do that by reading those books and it works, then you're a special person. That's nice. It works. If not, then you need to go get someone who can help you. That's the purpose of a spiritual guide. Is that clear? So that's what I'm saying. The object is to you to be a person of piety. If that works for you and it attains the objective, then you are okay. You did it. But if you don't know how to do it and the book is not working, you need a living guide, right? That's tariqah. That's what I was talking about. And lastly, finish reading the beginning of guidance. But I have a question. Should I now first read the Ihya or Muqtasar, since Muqtasar is just a summary of Ihya and I haven't read both of them? I would, if I was you and I was just for reading, I would read the Muqtasar of Imam Ghazali's Ihya. I wouldn't go straight to the Ihya if I were you. And let me show you where it's at. Hold on one second. I would go to this book. This is my suggestion to that question. I would go to this book. It's the summary. It's the best summary of the Ihya of Imam al-Ghazali available in English. I've read it. I've taught it. There's classes online with it. In English right now, this is the best summarized explanation of the Ihya. The Ihya hasn't had a good translation completely yet. Parts of it has, but the entire book, no. But this summary is the best, with the least amount of mistakes that we've seen. Even when I read with my teachers, the Ihya, these other books have a lot of mistakes. The translations have a lot of mistakes. This one, the best that I've seen yet. And I hope one day someone does it, the whole book that's good in Arabic and English and understands the science of tasawwuf and does a real scholarly edition. But that has yet to happen yet. The books that are available, translations of the Ihya, they have too many mistakes. I don't even recommend them. I honestly would tell people don't even read them. That's how bad they are. They're not good at all. I mean, maybe people have good intentions, but not good at all. So I don't recommend reading any English translation of Ihya, if I was to recommend, it would be this one as a summary. Even the other summary, it's nice, but it has a lot of mistakes that change the whole meaning of what Imam al-Ghazali said. So I don't recommend, no. And there's a difference when you sit with living teachers. And most of you who have studied with us know the difference. When you sit with a living teacher who actually knows what he's talking about, actually studied, actually learned from teachers, actually know the science, it's a whole different world. So then you would understand when I say, don't even waste your time. Because who wants to just read a bunch of mistakes and errors that could lead to actually blasphemous beliefs? No one wants to do that. Okay, that was it. May Allah reward you all, inshallah. I hope we didn't, in all of this long, forget the basis of what we were talking about. And I'll continue, inshallah, as soon as I get another opportunity. So remind you of Saturday in Newark, New Jersey. Don't forget that. We hope to see all of you face to face, or whoever can make it. It's from 10 to 6 on a Saturday. Did I put it up? Allahu Akbar. Where's that at? Well, and inshallah, we'll keep you abreast of different events. Also, we have a big event coming up. Let me make it so you can get prepared. The weekend of July 11th through the 14th, 2024, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Man, I'm a terrible typer. This is going to be something you don't want to miss. July 11th through the 14th is going to be the Islamic Unity Conference in Atlantic City, which is an extremely important conference. It will be the first of its kind that we've had in Atlantic City, different than the summit. In terms of the focus is specifically, how do we unify despite our different approaches and understandings? How do we collectively cooperate with each other in the various areas that we need for the benefit of the Ummah and the Muslims? This is unique. It's something very different. Already scheduled to attend, confirmed, so that you know, Imam Zaid Shakir, Imam Siraj Wahaj, Imam Talib Abdul Rashid, Imam Dawood Walid, Dr. Bilal Ware, the Black Imams, and more. The leadership of MANA, all these are attending. They're already confirmed. So, and the list will continue to add. even Imam Abu Muslima confirmed. It's going to be unique, mashallah. So this is going to be an interesting conference. Because it's July, so listen, follow, don't do what some people may do, and I don't want you to make a mistake. We're going to have discounted rooms at the location. So within the next week or two, I'm going to announce the code, give the code that you can secure your room, because it is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? We got a special rate that's very cheap. If you try to do it on your own, you're going to pay triple. Don't do it. It's Atlantic City. So I'll be announcing it like weekly, the updates, right? But the rooms are going to go fast because of the prices. So I would reserve, I would save at least, I would say about $600, roughly. We're looking at that deal for the whole weekend at the location, which is connected to the convention center where we're going to have the event. So everything will be in the same place, far as where you stay in the convention. There will be vending, it's like, we're going to do it way bigger than we did the summit. So I'm giving you so you can save your money. It's going to be a short window. So we're looking around $600 after taxes and everything, maybe $650 for the whole weekend. If you try to do it on your own, you're talking about $1,500 right now. So don't just wait. I'm going to announce it, and just get yourself ready to reserve, inshallah ta'ala. So that's that. And I'll keep reminding you, but spread it that this conference is coming up. It's confirmed. We're just still working on all of the details, but I'll keep you updated as we do it, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Since I missed a lot of days, this was 2.5 hours almost, so that makes up for like 2 days, right? 2.5 days. So, mashallah, we'll benefit. Barakallahu bikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.